What if the most advanced civilization of the ancient world didn't speak a language we can read, didn't build monuments to kings, and didn't leave behind stories of war, but still vanished overnight? 4,000 years ago, along the Indus River, a culture rose that rivaled Egypt and Mesopotamia, but without pyramids, emperors, or armies. Their streets were perfectly aligned, their drains more advanced than medieval towns, their cities connected in a way ancient history was never supposed to allow. And then, they disappeared. No mass graves, no burned palaces, no conquering army, just silence. In that silence lies one of history's greatest mysteries. Who were the Indus people, and what happened to their voice? And as researchers, linguists, and AI race to crack the code, one haunting truth emerges. We may be the last people on Earth who cannot hear their voice. For thousands of years, the Indus Valley Civilization slept beneath dust, sand, and time. Ancient writers barely mentioned them. Greek historians never recorded them. Even medieval travelers crossed their ruins without realizing a buried world waited beneath their feet. Then, in the 1850s, railway engineers in British India made a mistake that changed history. They found bricks, millions of them, perfectly shaped, standardized, durable. They used them for railway ballast, unaware they were dismantling a Bronze Age metropolis. When archaeologists finally arrived, they uncovered something no one expected. This wasn't a village. It was a city. A city built with a level of precision that looked almost modern. Mohenjo-daro, the mound of the dead, rose from the dust like a revelation. Streets set out in a perfect grid, homes with private bathrooms, public wells on nearly every lane, covered sewage channels running beneath the streets, still intact after 4,000 years. The Great Bath, a monumental tank lined with bitumen and baked brick, suggested communal ritual or political gathering. Granaries with advanced ventilation systems revealed large-scale food management. At Harappa, bead workshops produced jewelry with microscopic precision. At Lothal, they found one of the world's earliest dockyards. But the biggest shock wasn't what they built, it was what they didn't build. No palaces, no temples, no kingly inscriptions, no statues glorifying rulers. Every brick across 1,000 kilometers shared the same ratio, 1 to 2 to 4. The entire civilization functioned like a coordinated organism, not chaotic, not hierarchical, just engineered. It was a network, standardized, interconnected, coordinated, a culture built on order, efficiency, and civic planning. But beneath their perfection lay their greatest enigma. The symbols etched into their seals, the only voice they ever left behind, a voice that still refuses to speak. The Indus Valley wasn't just advanced, it was strange. A civilization this large should have left behind kings, dynasties, war stories, monuments, temples. Instead, it left none. It left infrastructure, order, sanitation, planning. The more we learn, the more it becomes clear. This was a society that prioritized community over kingship, engineers, not emperors, sanitation over domination, trade over conquest. Their cities didn't grow organically like other Bronze Age towns. They were planned from the beginning. Someone or something designed them with a blueprint. But the most haunting truth is that a civilization this advanced chose to hide its identity behind a wall of silence. No biographies of kings, no royal decrees, no war monuments, just seals. Compact, beautiful rectangles carved with animals and symbols representing a language we cannot read. The Pashupati seal, a horned figure surrounded by animals, hints at mythology but gives no clear answers. The unicorn seal, showing an animal that never existed, appears hundreds of times, but its meaning evaporated with the people who carved it. Their religion, silent. Their leaders, silent. Their internal conflicts, silent. Their language, the most silent of all. It is a paradox that defines the Indus Valley. They engineered a civilization for millions, yet erased nearly every clue about who they actually were. Over 4,000 inscriptions, hundreds of distinct symbols, a writing system spread across an entire civilization. And yet, no one has ever read a single sentence. Why? Because the script breaks every rule that allows writing to be decoded. The inscriptions are short, often just 5 to 7 symbols. There are no bilingual texts, like the Rosetta Stone. We don't know the underlying language, and many symbols might represent entire words rather than sounds. For decades, scholars debated whether the Indus script was even a script at all. Some claimed it was purely symbolic, not linguistic. But modern computational studies from Harvard, TIFR, and the University of Washington proved otherwise. The symbol patterns follow Zipf's law, a statistical signature of real human languages. This wasn't decoration. It was speech frozen in clay. But what speech? What tongue? What grammar? The strongest linguistic theory today points toward Proto-Dravidian, an ancient root of Tamil, Malayalam, and Kannada. Why? Because genetic studies show deep links between Indus populations and early Dravidian groups. Because certain symbols seem to reflect Dravidian linguistic structures. And because Mesopotamian texts record trade words that appear to be Dravidian in origin. Still, certainty eludes us. It's possible the Indus Valley spoke a language unrelated to anything alive today, a linguistic orphan. Enter AI. Not as a translator, the script is too damaged for that, but as a forensic tool. AI doesn't translate the script. Instead, it performs an autopsy on its grammar. It maps patterns, predicts symbol sequences, reconstructs missing fragments, and identifies statistical relationships invisible to humans. A 2023 study using transformer models revealed that Indus symbols behave like a compact, rule-driven writing system, closer to Sumerian cuneiform than to pictorial art. Other teams are training models on hypothetical Proto-Dravidian reconstructions to test compatibility. For the first time in a century, there is tangible hope we may be standing at the threshold of the script's resurrection. We may be the last people on Earth who cannot hear their voice. Most Bronze Age collapses leave behind destruction, burned cities, mass graves, bodies with weapons beside them. The Indus left none. Their end was quiet, gradual, almost gentle. Around 2000 to 1900 BCE, climate data from lake cores and river sediments shows a catastrophic shift. The monsoon weakened, rivers dried. A major Gagar-Hakra channel disappeared. Fields failed. Trade collapsed. Water, the lifeblood of the Indus, evaporated. The civilization didn't fall. It unraveled. Cities shrank. Villages expanded. People migrated east toward the Ganges. Urban life dissolved into rural life. And with that dissolution, something fragile broke. The administrative system that sustained the writing, the seals, the accountants, the traders, collapsed. Writing does not die when ink fades or clay crumbles. Writing dies when the last person who can read it takes the secret to their grave. The Indus script didn't disappear because it was flawed. It disappeared because the world that needed it disappeared. The accountants vanished. The merchants vanished. The bureaucracy vanished. And with them, the language that held their universe together. What remains is a whisper carved into stone. A voice waiting 4,000 years for someone to listen.